Hey everybody, welcome back to my Parkinson series. Today we're on part 2. In part 1, I discussed a few topics. I started by talking about the agenda, as in everything I'll be going over throughout this series. And then I gave a definition of what Parkinson's disease is, just kind of a broad overview. And then finally we talked about genetic risk factors. Today I'm going to be talking about environmental risk factors and the prevalence, and then I'm actually going to give you a little trivia game where you guess which people on the screen have Parkinson's. Alright, so let's dive right into environmental risk factors. As previously mentioned, only approximately 15% of Parkinson's cases have been associated with genetic risk factors, so we can infer that environmental factors may play a bigger role by comparison. One well-documented environmental risk factor associated with PD is suffering from a head injury. According to Morissette et al., getting a concussion is associated with an increased risk of being diagnosed with Parkinson's later on. Interestingly, they also found that concussions are associated with later diagnoses of attention deficit hyperactive disorder, dementias, and mood and anxiety disorders. Another interesting correlation between environment and PD is geographical. Midwestern and northeastern United States populations have been shown to have a higher prevalence of Parkinson's than other areas of the nation. Occupation is also linked to Parkinson's prevalence. Farmers in particular have a much higher chance of developing Parkinson's disease. For example, one herbicide known as glyphosate is discussed in an article in The Lancet as being linked to death of cells in the nigrostriatum. If you don't know what the nigrostriatum is, check earlier in this series on Parkinson's to find out. Other environmental exposures connected to PD include manganese, mercury, and lead, as well as mixed metals. So now we have some idea of what can lead to the development of Parkinson's disease, but what about how common it is? According to the Parkinson's Foundation, almost 1 million people in the United States are currently diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. Just shy of 90,000 new diagnoses are made annually, and globally there are over 10 million diagnosed cases of PD. Parkinson's prevalence is 50% higher in men than in women and has higher prevalence in higher ages. As mentioned in the environmental risk factors, Midwestern and Northwestern regions of the United States have a higher prevalence of Parkinson's disease than other areas in the country. Now, I've put together a little trivia game for you all. I'll show some famous people on the screen, and your goal is to guess whether the famous person has or has not received a diagnosis of Parkinson's disease. Okay, so on the screen here I have images of 9 famous individuals. We've got Robin Williams, Will Smith, Muhammad Ali, Donald Trump, Abraham Lincoln, Ozzy Osbourne, Albert Einstein, and Michael J. Fox, as well as Joe Biden. Several of the people on the screen have been diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. Take a moment to pause your video and come up with your best guesses as to who does and does not have Parkinson's. Okay, now to reveal the answers. So right off the bat, Robin Williams has been diagnosed with Lewy body dementia. He received the diagnosis just a few months before his passing, and this is kind of a complicated one. Parkinson's can cause dementia. It can be referred to as Parkinson's dementia, and it can be referred to as Lewy body dementia. Lewy body dementia can also occur without Parkinsonism, so it is not completely clear whether Robin Williams had dementia only or actually had a Parkinson's case as well. Next up, Will Smith. The only chronic illness Will Smith suffers from is being a meme. His condition deteriorated rapidly after slapping Chris Rock that one time. Next up is Muhammad Ali. He actually does have a former diagnosis of Parkinson's disease. Historically, he was a big ally of funding Parkinson's research. Next up is Donald Trump. Of the 9 people on the screen, Donald Trump is the only one who is unwilling to disclose medical history, so I cannot comment on presence or absence of anything. Abraham Lincoln did not have Parkinson's disease, but it is suspected that he had Marfan syndrome. Ozzy Osbourne does have a diagnosis of Parkinson's disease. Next up is Albert Einstein, and Einstein did not have Parkinson's, but did have some unspecified digestive issues, including the liver and the gastrointestinal system. Michael J. Fox, possibly the most famous instance of someone with Parkinson's disease. It is pretty well known. that Michael J. Fox has Parkinson's. And then lastly, we have Joe Biden. Joe Biden does not have Parkinson's, but does have a diagnosis of gastroesophageal reflux disease, which is like acid reflux, stomach acid. You've probably met people with this before, and actually has a full medical workup available with a quick Google search. Okay, buckaroos, that is all I had for you today. Just to recap, we went over environmental risk factors, prevalence of Parkinson's disease, and we played some trivia involving Parkinson's disease. Please do be sure to tune in about 1 month on Friday at 3 p.m. for part 3. Also, if you know anybody that would be interested in watching this video series, go ahead and send them my way, because after all, what keeps me making these videos is y'all who are watching them. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.